You ever see a man with 4 gold stripes on his sleeve, blood dripping down his temple, being shoved against an airport wall like he's some kind of criminal? Yeah, that happened. And the worst part? His own crew just stood there watching. Not a word, not a move. 24 hours earlier, that same man, Captain Darius Coleman, had been their commander, a respected pilot with 15 years in the skies. But one flight, one lie, and one call later, the entire crew who betrayed him, fired, every last one of them. Let me back up a sec. It was a crisp Thursday morning in Maplewood, New Jersey. Darius was buttoning up his uniform like he always did. Straight collar, polished shoes, those stripes lined perfectly. Same ritual, same pride, even after all these years. On his laptop, his daughter Maya beamed through the screen. 24 years old, hours away from her white coat ceremony, her official entry into medical school. "You'll make it back in time, right?" she asked, eyes wide, full of hope. Darius chuckled, leaning close. "I'd fly through a hurricane to see you in that coat, Maya. Don't worry. San Francisco turnaround. Back by Friday night. Plenty of time." She smiled, soft. "Mom would be proud of us both." That hit him right in the chest. Serena had been gone 5 years now. Cancer. But her dream? A doctor and a pilot in the family. And now here they were, almost there. Darius kissed the photo of his late wife like he always did before a flight, grabbed his bag, and drove to Newark Liberty Airport, a route he knew better than his own reflection. Ground staff waved at him. Gate agents smiled. Even the janitor by the elevator gave him a nod. Everyone respected Captain Coleman, not just because he was damn good at what he did, but because he remembered them, their names, their stories. But not everyone on that flight cared about respect. In the crew lounge, Darius met his new first officer, Brendan Shaw. Clean-cut, blonde, straight out of prep school central casting, transferred from Gulfstream Airlines last month. Darius extended a hand. "Captain Coleman, welcome aboard." Brendan took it. Brief, cold shake. "Thanks, Brendan Shaw. Flight plan looks interesting." "Interesting how?" "Well, you usually take the northern route over Cleveland. I prefer the southern track. More efficient." Darius smiled, polite. "That's so. I wrote part of the efficiency manual here at Skyfront. But if you've got new data, I'm open. Today, though, we're flying dispatch's plan." Brendan didn't argue. But his eyes, they said plenty. Things got weirder real fast. Vanessa, the lead flight attendant, normally chatty, avoided Darius completely. When he asked about cabin readiness, she answered, but to Brendan, like Darius wasn't even in the room. Then Ray, one of the ground crew, pulled him aside near the lockers. "Hey, D, word is some of these new transfers, they've been filing micro-reports on captains, real petty stuff, and it's mostly aimed at guys like us." Darius blinked. "Us?" Ray nodded. "You know what I mean." A chill crawled down Darius's spine, and then came the missing badge. His official Skyfront Captain ID. Gone. Vanished from his locker. Took 15 minutes to get a temporary one. That's not just an inconvenience. That's sabotage. Out on the tarmac, inspecting the Dreamliner, something he'd done 1,000 times, Darius overheard Brendan on the phone, around the nose of the plane. "Yes, I'm documenting everything. Procedure violations. Doesn't matter how senior he is." That's when Darius knew. This wasn't just some power play. This was a setup. Now here's the thing about Darius. He knew which fights to pick. As one of the few black commercial captains in the country, under 3%, he'd learned how to survive in silence. But he also knew when silence becomes complicity. 3 hours into the flight, at cruising altitude, Darius got up to use the restroom. When he returned, the cockpit door was locked. He pressed the intercom. "Brendan, it's me. Open up." Silence. Then Brendan's voice came through, flat. "Captain, I've received direct orders from Chief Pilot Randall. I can't let you in." Darius stared at the door. "That's not protocol. I'm the commanding officer on this aircraft." "I'm sorry, sir. We're diverting to Denver for a mechanical concern." "There is no mechanical concern, and you know it." That's when Darius pulled out his company phone and called operations directly, got through security, demanded to speak to Director Maria Halston. "Director," he said, keeping his voice low, "I've been locked out of my cockpit. My first officer claims it's on your orders." "What? No," she said instantly. "Captain, we haven't issued any such directive." Code yellow. That's what he triggered. Significant operational concern. Turns out this wasn't random. A series of messages surfaced. Brendan, Vanessa, and others coordinating something called Project Flight Standard, a secret group of pilots and managers working together to push minority captains off long-haul routes, or out entirely. Vanessa's text read, "I don't feel right about this. He seems like a good captain." Brendan replied, "It's not personal. Pure Flight's determined he's slipping. Just follow the plan." Pure Flight. That was their name. A whisper network of white officers who believed in restoring excellence. Disgusting. And dangerous. When the plane landed in Denver, federal marshals were waiting, not for Brendan, but for Darius. They cuffed him right there, bloodied him when he tried to show his ID, paraded him through the terminal like he was some kind of hijacker. Phones were out, people were recording, his face, his uniform, his dignity, bleeding all over the floor. And you know what? Brendan just stood there, smirking. But what they didn't expect was what came next. See, Darius had friends, allies, and a daughter who wasn't about to let her father be erased. Maya and their family attorney, Winston, launched a media blitz, leaked the texts, the call logs, the names, every last one. Investigative reporter Lee Wen from Aero Truth Weekly uncovered Pure Flight's full scope. Turns out they weren't just some fringe group. They had plants in 12 major airlines, executive sponsors, HR connections, even FAA liaisons. When Director Halston tried to investigate, the airline's VP of Ops tried to stonewall her. She resigned publicly. Skyfront stock plummeted 12% overnight. PR disaster. Meanwhile, Brendan was on paid leave. Darius? Still suspended. No charges, but no cockpit either. But that's where the real battle began. The FAA hearing. 4 days, testimonies, cross-examinations. Brendan tried to play it smart, claimed Darius was mentally erratic, and dismissed flight safety concerns. Winston stepped in. Did Captain Coleman violate any flight regulation? Brendan hesitated. Did he threaten anyone? No. So why did you lock the captain of a commercial aircraft out of his cockpit mid-flight? Dead silence. Then came the expert witnesses, cockpit security analysts, veteran captains, and even a psychiatrist. Every single one called Brendan's actions reckless, discriminatory, and a violation of federal airspace code. Brendan's final excuse? It was just about safety. Yeah, sure it was. Chief Pilot Randall, the mastermind, invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. And when Skyfront's CEO was asked if they knew about Pure Flight, he sighed. We'd heard rumors, but didn't want to jeopardize internal harmony. Harmony? They bloodied a captain. That's harmony? In the end, the FAA ruled unanimously. Captain Darius Coleman was to be reinstated immediately, with a public apology, and promoted to chief pilot, the very position Randall had abused. But Darius didn't stop there. He refused a non-disclosure settlement, took the money, millions, and launched the Wings of Equity initiative, funding flight school scholarships and mentoring programs for underrepresented communities. And on his first official flight as chief pilot, he flew to San Francisco to see his daughter Maya step into that white coat. Full circle. Before takeoff, a notification buzzed on his phone. Breaking. Congress launches investigation into Pure Flight. All members banned from U.S. airlines. Darius smiled, slid the phone into his chest pocket, and took the controls. Same hands they tried to handcuff, now guiding hundreds of passengers safely into the clouds. You tell me, was that justice or just the beginning? If this story got you fired up, I want to hear about it. Drop your thoughts below. What would you do if this happened to someone you love? Do you think justice was served, or is this just the tip of something bigger? Smash that like button if you believe in calling out injustice, no matter where it hides. And hey, subscribe if you're not afraid to speak truth to power. We've got more stories where this came from.